Okay, 1, 2, 3, we're starting. So tell me about where the idea of iTalk came from.
Well, honestly, it was pretty random. I was sitting in my B100 class, this is before I switched to comm, and we were talking about just taking, I think it was, we were talking about like taking chances and just really trying to utilize resources while you got them. And so I was thinking about the school and everything and all the things that we have here. And I decided that I really liked public speaking and I really liked TED Talks and everything that TED does. And so I was like, oh, well, why don't we bring like a student version of that to BYU, Idaho? And so that's how it pretty much started. Was just, I had this thought and I ran right down to the activities department to Brother Kinghorn and gave him my pitch. And that led me to Brother Hackey, who eventually helped me start it as a society.
So tell me about tell me a little bit about your background and a little bit about, I guess, what I don't know how to explain it, what inspired you to take it to keep going, I guess.
Honestly, there were multiple things. One happens to be, at least when you were talking there, the thing that came to my mind was that when I was a kid, was very shy. And I eventually hit a point when I was about like 14 or 15 where I decided that I didn't want to be shy anymore. And so I purposely did things to pull myself out of my shyness. And I found out that I really liked public speaking. I really liked watching someone understand what I was telling them because of my ability to be able to say it in a way that was understandable to them. And that was just a really cool thing for me to watch. So that's one of the things that really motivated me, is I really love watching people understand. And public speaking is one of those venues and that you can do that. And as far as other motivators for it, I would say, well, let's just be candid. I sort of messed up academically over the last few years. I got accepted to BYU Hawaii right when I got home, and to Provo at the same time. I decided to go to Hawaii, and in the process rejected Provo. One of the dumbest things I've ever done. And by the time I got over to Hawaii, I really loved it. I loved the school, I loved the people and everything, but I figured out it just wasn't the place that I needed to be at. And so I tried to go back to Provo. Provo wouldn't take me. And then I ended up staying in California for a little while, and then eventually got up here. And so throughout that whole process, I wasted a lot of time, and there was a lot of credits that got lost because of the transfer process. And so it was really difficult to come up and things that I should have had figured out a couple of years ago at least were now things that I was just starting to do. And so I had a little bit of regret in that sense. And I really wanted to help people explore themselves in such a way that they didn't have to waste as much time as I did. And so that was another benefactor of iTalk that I thought could be an addition to this school. Other than that, and the beginning was a totally different animal than it was in the end. Because in the beginning it was much more like pure ambition. I just really liked the idea and I really wanted to go forward with it. There was no concrete evidence I had or anything to really base off of other than I just really wanted to do it. And so I just had that pure ambition. But then what happened is the school, as I was trying to pitch this idea for it to become a society, the school gave me a lot of pushback. When I say the school, I mean the administration. They gave the pushback. They gave me the pushback because in their eyes, they really like the idea of bringing something, because like I said, in the beginning, it was a different thing. In the beginning, really, it was just, let's bring student TED-esque events to BYU, Idaho. And so they liked the idea, but then at the same time, they didn't see the need for the idea. Because the thing about an academic society especially is that it needs to contribute somehow and not just be something random that we already have on campus. So they pose the question to me is, why do we need this, and why is it necessary and not just something fun or something nice? How does this differ from just like a public speaking class? Or how does this differ from any other class that we already have, or any other organization that's doing similar things on campus? And so it took us a long time to really figure that out. We did a lot of trial and error. We thought maybe it was this, maybe it was that. We had lots of ideas that eventually came to the table, and through this sort of back and forth with the administration, we finally came to where we wanted to be. And we finally figured out what the niche of this idea was. And basically, the niche of it is that we recognize that there is a gap. And that gap comes from, you have us as people, us as students that are here, and each one of us has our own personal story. And what I mean by a story is, we have experiences, we have emotions, we have ideas, we have thoughts, we have passions, all those things that combine inside of us to make our story. We all have that. And then at some point, we're trying to tell that story to the world. We want the world to hear us. The problem is that the world doesn't have any incentive to listen to us.
So how could iTalk, why would iTalk be the perfect avenue for what you're just explaining?
So basically, you've got the public presentation classes and professional presentation classes and the persuasion classes and similar classes like that already address the basics of how to be persuasive, how to be a good speaker when you're in front of people. The difference with us is that those situations more deal with when everything goes right. In other words, what I mean by that is, you're given a certain parameter, you have a certain amount of control over the situation, like your talk and sacrament meeting. Your bishop asked you to do it, so you have 10 minutes to speak, and the people in the audience are more or less forced to listen to you. Whereas what we are addressing are those moments when someone doesn't want to listen to you. And so how we help you do that is, we help you critically think about what you want to do and what you want to become. And that's through different processes within iTalk, within We Talk, and within They Talk. And each one has a different niche to combine together to hopefully give you a skill set that when you get out in the real world, helps you address those situations when everything doesn't go right, when everything goes wrong. And what I mean by that is those situations that you don't have any control over it. The elevator pitch. Or you have those moments when there's someone that has no interest in listening to your idea because they don't see any profit to them. So now we're going to teach you how to show that person that it has some type of benefit or profit to them.
So what's the main mission of iTalk in a sentence or less?
So our slogan, or our mission statement, I guess you could say to some degree, is, we are the bridge to help you effectively tell your story to the world. And so that just goes back to what I was talking about, how there's this gap, and we just want to help you bridge that and be able to tell your story. And we don't just mean to business people or your career necessarily. This isn't just focused on that. It's also focused on, how about your kids later on in life? Because more than likely there's going to be some type of discrepancy there where your kids don't want to listen to you. You haven't given them any type of incentive to listen to you, maybe. Or maybe right now while you're dating, like, why should that girl go on the date with you? Or why should that guy care to hear about your whatever? And how do you present it in such a way that people are interested in at first? And then once you've caught their interest, how do you get them to take action on that? And so we don't claim that any of these principles that we're trying to perpetuate in iTalk are new. They're not. These are things that you do learn in other classes to some degree or another. But what we want to do is combine them in a process that is easy for you to go, okay, I do this, I do this, I do this, and hopefully it'll help you get a better perspective on whatever you're trying to do.
So my next question is I have two more questions. One is, what was it like to have, like, what was the process like as far as getting it start, like, so you have as a society, the process of getting to be in a practicum. Can you explain that and like a little bit like how you feel now, how relieved you are?
Well, long and short, I didn't know it would ever get to this point. Because honestly, when I first started iTalk, I wasn't a comm major, so I had no idea what a practicum was. But other than that, like, no, I had no plan for it to become a practicum at all. All I knew is that there was this objective that I wanted to accomplish, and I was going to do whatever it took to get it done. But ultimately, how it became a practicum was we ran into another, we'll call hiccup, with the administration where they were concerned about what we were doing. And so we came to a crossroads where we either decided, we had two decisions basically. It was either we try and continue to persuade the administration to let us keep doing what we were doing as a society, or we try and transition it into the practicum, because then that takes a lot of pressure off. The administration no longer has to worry about us because it's underneath the umbrella of the communications department. And I wasn't the one that suggested it become a practicum. Actually, I was in a conversation with Brother Embry, and he and I were trying to decide how we were going to address this little bump in the road. And he was the one that ultimately said, you know what? The organizational and advocacy emphasis is actually looking for a new practicum. And we've been trying to think of ideas, and what you're doing with iTalk actually fits perfectly into what we're trying to accomplish with this new emphasis. So maybe it was meant to be, you know, let's try it. And so we had actually bounced around a few ideas, but that one was the one that both of us were like, yeah, that's probably where we want to take it. And so we did. We pitched it to Brother Cannon, and Brother Cannon loved it and had a few suggestions for us to make sure that it stayed within what we were trying to accomplish with the communications department. And then the rest is history.
So what do you hope to, I guess, what are you the most proud of?
With iTalk?
Yeah.
Honestly, you know, there could be a mistake in thinking that this was all me, I guess. That somehow this whole iTalk thing was all because of me type of a deal. But it wasn't. Really, where we are today is due to many, many sources. Both faculty, friends from off campus, and friends within the campus. Those people that have been on the board, those people that have spoken, those people that have done so much to contribute to helping us refine what we're trying to do, and then also contributing just grunt work. I mean, honestly, if I didn't have my board this semester, we wouldn't have been able to accomplish half of the things that we did. And they have put in so much awesome effort to help us out. But the other side of that is that not just the effort, but the ideas. There have been so many ideas that have come from people that I would have never thought of on my own. I mean, yes, the end goal and the ambition is probably centered in me, but accomplishing that ambition, accomplishing that goal came from the support of many people. And so I guess the proudest thing that I have about iTalk is my gratitude. My gratitude to every person that has contributed. Because of them, we are where we are. And because of the grace of God, and I'll say this because this is a church school, and I don't mind saying it in this setting, because I think that the audience that is listening to this will understand this. But I'll be again candid. iTalk works a heck of a lot better when I am focused on trying to help people rather than just trying to accomplish my goal. When I'm keeping the mindset of what can I do better, Father? What can I do to help my board members? What can I do to help this speaker feel better about themselves or push their idea farther? How can we really help these people do better? When that mindset is truly in my heart, I guess you can say, that's when I see some pretty miraculous things happen with iTalk. So again, it's the outside sources that are contributing to iTalk that I'm the most proud of. Has nothing to do with the product of iTalk itself. Has to do with everyone involved.